What's up? I'm on Rohan, all that good stuff. My day's going pretty good. Hopefully yours is. You can always leave a comment on that if you wish. The strength of what it is that is your fundamentals. Of whatever it is that you need your fundamentals. As far as what it is that is for what it is you pursue. The dream and aspiration. The strength of whatever is required. By things that happen to be required. If it is, in truth, you wish to be amongst the best in whatever it happens to be that it is that you wish to do. If it is, there is not strength of this. You will be not the top of what it is. Without the strength of whatever this may be, even within your relationships. This must be the strength of what it is that is how it is you treat them. The strength when you push or when it is you know you should not. The strength of what it is you practice or what it is you do not. No matter for what it is. But how can it be that you can change this? Must you work upon the fundamentals? Cannot do for what is required. If you do not know the fundamentals that are required, for no matter what it may be, the strength of this, the result is what you see. The strength of what it might be is your problem solving. How many solutions do you have in your problem solving? Is it something that maybe you need to work upon on whatever it is that maybe you do not have the funnel to work upon? Gotta have the fundamentals first. Might be disappointed as it is that at that point do not have what it is that is required upon this point. As it is maybe at this point, there is disappointment that grows at this point towards for whatever it may be, for whatever the solution to this problem. Work upon the fundamentals, and there will be strength. Not for what it is that at that point you are weak. As it is, maybe this disappointment grows within what it is that is the basics or the fundamentals. These are things, and the only things you need to know. For if it is, you can get the building blocks and know upon how it is to use such building blocks, which are the fundamentals. Gotta have strength in whatever it is, for if it is that you master the fundamentals amongst your aspiration, you are amongst the top. That is within that profession and aspiration. But how can you find out for what you might need to work? Maybe ask someone or pay attention even within personal things, as far as relationship things. You could easily find out for what the issue might be. How many repeats of the same thing can you find for what is the fundamental of and why it is such a thing? Must know. Or results, how can you know? Gotta have strength of these fundamentals, and whatever it is, that within your profession, craft, or aspiration, no matter personal, business, or anything else, must know the fundamentals first before anything else. If it is you do not, then how can you solve that problem? It's hard to solve a problem if it is you do not know for what might be the fundamental. Which, another way to say that is the building blocks or basics. Isn't that funny how there's multiple words to say the same thing? You say the fundamentals, you say the basics, you say the building blocks. They all mean the same thing. There's even probably more words than just that. To be able to say what I just said, with all three of those words. But these are things amongst anything you wish to learn. Gotta know for what is required to learn or work upon. It's not always about what it is that is the knowledge. Sometimes it is for what strength of practical application of the knowledge. Do you pay attention to who might do it the best? What fundamentals do they do that make them, not you, the best? Gotta know at least that is the fundamentals for what it is. Whatever it may be, that is that. If that has not been achieved, then how can it be that your aspiration or dream can be for what it is that you wish to have it to be achieved? The fundamentals and the strength of them determine upon the strength and the end result of your application of what it is that is the showing of the result. You can know many things, but wisdom and knowledge are two different things. Knowledge is knowing them. Wisdom is actually applying them, or experience within them. The strength between these two. Some, they cannot combine the two. They can know, but it is that they cannot do. Or they can do, but it is that they do not know. The strength of both things within your aspiration. These are things that, within that, you have to know. For it is the fundamentals for whatever it is. no matter for what it happens to be. The fundamentals are the building blocks. The strength of your relationship, whatever it may be. Do you pay attention to maybe the way that you treat them? Many times, amongst few or far between, sometimes certain things are not seen. Or it is that they do not see it the same. But within that, there is a standard, is there not? It's not always easy. I mean, like, personal being a friend with someone. When you first meet them, from the time that they had been able to convey and show upon the fact what it is they feel or the way that they are able to convey, there is a fundamental and specific way. Once it is that that has been set by how it is that maybe you had grown up. If you get what it is, I mean. It's very simple. Same thing for your aspirations. Is there not? For whatever it is, there's always an origin. And it is all based off of that. So, if you wish to know someone's personality, it's fairly simple. You have to get to know them to know that. If you just meet an individual, you could not tell much about that individual, for you were not around enough to know. But as the relationship starts to grow, it's fairly easy. The strength of your communication with them, the longer you are around them, the easier it becomes. Because you learn for what? The more that you are within your craft, the more it is within that you get to know your craft. No matter for what the fundamentals for what it is. Just like amongst your craft, if it is that you decide to do certain things are noticed by you, the strength of that and the application makes it easy or hard, for maybe you do not know the specific way it should be applied as far as the practical application that within the building blocks must be applied. At first, it is that you must know for what is the fundamentals. So you wish to grow a relationship with one, How can you if you spend no time with that one? How is it that it is possible? Now, within that, can you tell for how it is that you are? Within the strength of the knowledge about yourself and how you are. You know, upon what it is that maybe you need to work on. The strength of or the weakness of. Within your relationships, maybe. A repeat of the last time? Or was it just as good as the last time? If you know upon what it is that is the fundamental that causes that, then what fundamental is it that you should be looking that is opposite than that? As far as for what it is. Within personal relationship, that is. Within your craft, that is not for what it is you look. Within your craft, you pay attention to who is the best. The building block for what it is that is expected and required by the rest. Once it is that you figure this out, the strength of your fundamentals, they will start to come out. They will be stronger than what it was before. Before it was that you showed the fundamentals that you were unaware of before. It is not that it is easy. It is. Only upon when it is you have the fundamentals is it easy. If it is, you know what to expect. If it is, you know how it is because of the knowledge of the fundamentals. The wisdom in showing the application of the fundamentals shows upon the result that is the desired and wished for result. These are true about anything. Within what it is that is applicable by that method. Things that are unexpected. These are things you cannot do such things. Unless it is maybe you have the fundamentals for solving for what it is that is those things. But to have it occur, it's very hard to get for what does not occur. It makes it hard to know the fundamentals. Now, you might be wondering for why it is I say that. Or within your craft, many times as it is you have your training for whatever it may be. It is very easy. Because you have one that has the wisdom and knowledge and shows you the practical application of the knowledge. But when you look for what it is the fundamentals. Is it not? For, like, if you were to go to school for something specific, they will tell you how to solve problems within that specific. If it is that you are not within that craft, then how is it? You would know the fundamentals of that craft. If it is that you have not done for what knowledge needs to be gained at that spot. Many times, so that you may understand. Even within personal, relationship things. If it is you have problems with this, who is it that you go to fix such things as this? Do you go to your neighbor? Or do you go to someone that is educated about this subject beyond your neighbor? So, within your dream or aspiration, do you get the fundamentals? Have to do so with repetition. Otherwise, the wisdom is not gained, for only knowledge is there. For only amongst practical application, with repetition, is it that the wisdom is there. They may be able to tell you for what it is to do, but for you to learn, the action has to be done by you. Would that not be for why it would be that you go to school? In order for you to have the strength of these fundamentals, you must first learn the fundamentals. The strength of these are the showing of, the demonstration. So within your dream and aspiration, who is the one that is showing for what it is that you need to know? No matter for what it may be. As far as within your dreams and aspirations that you wish to achieve. Is it maybe your friend? Is it maybe someone that has been educated or whatever it may be? As far as what within the strings of these fundamentals must be seen. Do you know why upon the fact I say to not go to your neighbor? Because your neighbor was only within one situation, one that is professionally trained. They are one that can deal with all common situations. For as far as what it is that is within, if it is you have personal relationship issues, one that is not trained, how can they tell you for only that situation? Do they have the fundamentals? Within the experience they have been trained. Must be for the one that shows the strength that is shown by the wisdom, not by just the first-hand wisdom. But the one that has the fundamentals amongst what it is that can be seen The standards for what within that situation can be seen. Not one that has only experienced for what they do not have the knowledge that they have not experienced. The strength of. Now what happens if you have your resource? If it is that you study within whatever field it may be, you must know for what the fundamentals are. Like, I'll give you an example. The fundamentals of this character. I'm not using beyond that right now. That's it. The base fundamentals. Within with that, or the build of the character. I'm not using any of the other advanced stuff amongst the character. But what happens if it is you have the fundamentals? And then all of a sudden, you add to the fundamentals. Things that strengthen, hone, and make the strength of that wisdom of the experience be honed. Does it change for what result you will see? Well, just within the basics. The result is slightly different. You start adding more advanced stuff. Now, the strength, because of the fundamentals, are amplified because of the knowledge of this, whatever it may be that is required. Now that you have the results are entirely different than previous you just had. But the strength of the fundamentals, these extra things, within what it is that is required. If you do not have the fundamentals, how can the extra be acquired? The strength of these directly affect for what? Amongst what it is that is the advanced stuff, for what it is that these reflect. The fundamentals, if they are not good, what happens if there is one that has fundamentals that are good? The strength of the fundamentals. If you do not know for what is required, within what it is that you wish to be and want to acquire. No matter personal life, business, or anything else. How can you add something advanced you wish to have for what I mean? Let's say you wish to run. You have to be able to crawl first, before it is you are able to run. Then you have to be able to stand. Then walk. Then you can run, for you have done the fundamentals for what it is you wish to do amongst. Pretty simple. Wonder why you're not getting the results that you wish to get. How good, upon what it is that you may be able to do that no one else can do. Do you have the fundamentals? That is the foundation for what it is you do. The strength of these is what matters the most. And whatever it is that you wish to achieve. You wish to have good relationship with people. First, you must how they are within who it is. If you were to just meet me, how could you say that you know me before you meet me? How could you say that anything more advanced than that? If it is you have not met, must have for what is the fundamentals before you can do upon a, that is beyond for what is the fundamentals. For then you fully know within that relationship. For you have done the fundamentals to have that relationship. I cannot tell you for what it is that you have gone through. You have not seen. I cannot tell you for what it is that you need to do for. How can I? The only thing I can tell you for what is the fundamentals for what should be. For if you wish to have strength amongst what it is you wish to see. The basics for what? Wish to learn something. Very easy. Repetition. For within what it is. That building block must be shown within that repetition. For you cannot do something if it is you do it wrong. Or you do not know the fundamentals. Compared to one that does not do it wrong. You wish to have the top edge upon what it is that is your field. Know the fundamentals that is required by your field. Or whatever it is that is within your dream. You must have the building block before you can build for what it is that is in your dream. It's very easy. Ones that might be able to do it and make it look easy. They have for what it is that is required. Within whatever amongst that standard that must be met if that status wishes to be acquired. Within profession, that is. Within personal relationship, that is slightly different. Because here is the difference. Profession, whatever you do, there is standard. But within personal relationship, there's a basic standard. But the fundamentals of that, there is, however it is, you happen to have grown up. Many times people that think the same have similar ways that they have been raised. Similar ways that if they experience the same or something similar, for how they act, can it be similar? Or can it not? For this cannot be amongst the standard. Because no matter for how many people happen to experience, for whatever it is that they happen to experience, each one will see it as a different way. Each one will react different upon this day. For what works for one does not for another. Within personal relationship, there is not a standard such as this. But the general way that should be acted, there is one for this. But also how well one might learn depends upon the experiences that, amongst that, they are able to learn. Oh, say you learn a certain way. That is the best way. Some react very well when it is they have happened to. Say you wish to learn something. How do you best learn? It's very interesting. But within that, someone declaring, oh, you know what, with this, you must do this, without ever experiencing it. How can they tell you they have the wisdom, if it is they have not experienced it? Unless it is maybe they had watched it. As far as for what fundamentals they know, for they have watched it. or for what it is that within that shows the strength for what it is. If it is, you see something and you're like, oh, wow. You see somebody else do it and you don't do that. But only when it is that you see them do it. Or that particular band you listen to, or whatever it may be. No matter for what it is. The fundamentals. You ever paid attention to this? For what it is you like and for what it is you do not. The strength and for what it is you understand and for what maybe you do not. What maybe connects with you. With what it is that within your experience is very interesting when you look. Now, that's within personal relationship. Now, what about profession? Is there a strength of what it is that you would do good if it was your profession? Is it that the fundamentals come easy for you? Is it something maybe is hard to do? Can still be learned. But the number of the repetition and how much more you have to try to learn makes it much harder compared to one that has the natural ability, the strength of what it is that is within your natural ability. But the fundamentals is the part that matters the most. For you cannot show for what is able to be shown for the most. If these are things that you have not learned more than the most. Or whatever it may be that is your fundamentals. It is for what you show amongst your fundamentals. One may be great amongst their craft, one of the best. But others just as good. What is the difference for what they do and what the other does? What fundamentals that are slightly different within for what it is that they show? What does it show? Within what fundamentals they had set as the building blocks. Sometimes there is more than one solution to what it is that is a problem. Within what it may be that is what needs to be solved. For whatever it is that you are facing, as far as for what it is, and for what the fundamentals of what the answer can be and is. but for what it is that is your fundamentals. They must be and show the strength of these fundamentals. If it is, this does not show no true greatness. Will there ever be within that from you to show? No matter for what it is that you wish to show. The fundamentals for what and how this within your personal experience that makes you who it is that you are. Within what you do you show the fundamentals for who you are? The strength of who and how you have your building blocks shown. For what result you show. The fundamentals for what it is that you wish to show. These are things, knowledge and the application with the repetition is shown upon the fact. With the result is shown the wisdom. Because you can practice for what is the basics. But without your individual experiences of what it is that you are able to produce within the standard that must be met that you are to produce, can there be for what the greatest you could be? Must have the fundamentals for what is basically needed to be seen. And then the advanced part is for when you are able to show for what it is that makes it unique to you. That makes it to where within your business people happen to pick you. Just like when you listen to for what is the music you like. If you pay attention, there is a fundamental for what it is that you like. There is a fundamental for what's basic. For whatever it is. There's always no matter for what it is. That may or may not make sense. But the strength of this, what it is that someone might be at awe, it is amongst the fundamentals of what is that is expected, and for what extra is advanced for what is basic. Usually upon what it is, that is, for what is drawn, or people happen to be. As far as for who or possibly who it might be that you might be attracted to, or who it is that you might get along with. Same within that. Standards that must be met, for no matter what it is, it happens to be that. But it's the subtle details that you do not notice. For these are the fundamentals for what is not noticed. It's usually the thing that sticks out the most, that you pay attention to, maybe draws you to them, or amongst what it is that you wish to pursue. It's what sticks out the most. But I wish to tell you this, that is not the fundamentals. That is the advanced part that is built upon the fundamentals. The strength of this, the fundamentals. Amongst the leaders in your field, is there much difference in their fundamentals? The ones that are best and they are accredited. Is there not a standard that must be met? For such things, the fundamentals, the strength of these. Now, if it is, what happens if the fundamentals amongst what it is that might be your advanced? Upon what it is, you have the fundamentals, now you wish to go advanced? Beyond that, it's still within the same type, because it is built upon for what is the basic, or the building block. The only difference with these, only you for that, you are able to show for what it is that is for you. Amongst what experiences, what influences and other things that are from you. You can be the best for whatever it is that you do, but amongst only the fundamentals, will people know you? If it is that you are one that has fundamentals and they also have advanced upon that, how much more would they pick you over the one that has only the fundamentals and nothing extra to that? It is adding your own flavor. For what is and makes you an individual, that is your flavor. The fundamentals must be there, but also within certain fields. Who decides for what is the fundamentals? Are there those ones that are unique? That you know what? For what is the most basic? Within what it is that they wish to show amongst their field. Sometimes even amongst what it is that is their fundamentals will be even blocks of the advanced along with the fundamentals. These are the rarer still, ones that amongst whatever it may be, they do something so unique it has never been seen. In the way or however it may be. The strength amongst these, the ones that raise the bar amongst what is the standard, way above for what it is that is expected of these things. The strength amongst the wisdom for what already is the basic, and adding for what it is that is advanced. Sturdy enough to be considered within what it is that is what new they show that is considered the fundamentals amongst for how it is that amongst their individuality shows for what strength can be. And it raises a bar in a whole new way. But can this be done amongst what it is that is your personal life? Yet again, how is it that it can be that you do such things within this as well? Is it that you can? Must be an extremely firm foundation. Amongst what is the fundamentals, the building blocks, the basics. Within whatever it is that is considered the basics. But to be considered amongst what it is that might be that field. Whatever it may be. Or amongst for what it is. There's still some that are absolutely required amongst that field. Not something that you can take out or add. Because then it is not that, if it is you add. Cannot be considered amongst the same field. Cannot hit the requirements. If it is, doesn't have the fundamental and for what it is you look at it. And see for what it actually is. Now if there is advanced parts, even within what is just basic, you can tell them apart. Like, for what it is I do, there are basics. There are advanced. But there's always that foundation built before you can become advanced. It is building that is the hardest. The strength of this withstands amongst the hard times, or it happens to fall. Even amongst your relationship, the same thing. The fundamentals on how it is you act. If it is that someone meets you and they get to know for how it is you act, all of a sudden, there's a slight change. Enough to where it is not amongst the amongst what it is that is considered the fundamentals of who it is that you are amongst your relationship. Do you doing that? Or amongst that, can you build relationships? If it is, you do that. Can you? So amongst those things, amongst your relationships, is there fundamentals for the result that you have? Not getting the right type of relationships. Maybe pay attention for what is the fundamental of what it is you get out of your relationships. Not getting for what it is you wish out of your aspiration. Maybe it might be a good time to examine for what it is amongst that is the fundamentals. If it is, you do not examine for what it is. For what fundamentals are required to enter for whatever it is that you wish to do this. Wish to enter a relationship, get a different result. Cannot repeat the same. If it is you wish to have a different result, if it is you enjoy the relationships you get. Now, changing for what it is you do. Does that change for what result you already get and you wish to? The fundamentals and the strength of them, no matter for what. They are important and might be wise for you to examine. For the only way to tell the difference is to examine. Now, to find out the fundamentals. Do you have to examine to find out the fundamentals? To pay attention closely. Not to expect the same thing, but not find out for what the fundamentals are for that exact thing. No matter for what it is. That's the way it works. The strength of wisdom the result of what it is amongst your fundamentals that work or do not. So what parts, if it is that it does not, do you need to examine for what needs to be corrected? Rebuilt for what is the fundamental, that is, the building block. Not getting a result for what it is you wish. Must examine for what is the building block or foundation of why it is you get this result. You have a bad relationship? More than likely. Contributing factors. Maybe even crit factors. A crucial moment. Must examine to notice a crucial moment. But they are for what it is that is noticed, usually for what is the most. Isn't it? The fundamentals. The strength of these contribute to for what is the crucial moment. It does, but it must line up. Cannot examine for what does not line up. Can you? Cannot say it's walking. If it is that crawling did not happen first. If crawling was never a thing, then how could there be walking as it is you see? Fundamental, is it not? But also, amongst that, here's another thing that contributes, though, to that. Within what standard has to be met? Considering standard, what is the standard? Do you catch for what it is I mean? Within for what is the building block? Within what cannot be anything different. It is you catch that. Certain things remain the same. Certain things can be changed. But also certain things only with what is not fundamentals. Can these be changed? Or can they not? Like amongst your field and your profession, to be considered for what it is that is your profession. It cannot be any different than that. For certain things could not line up, no matter for what it is. The strength of, for what can line up. Must be examined with no proof. They cannot line up. Must be for what it is that you are able to examine, to show proof for what needs to be examined. The strength of these shows the fundamentals, building blocks, and the basics for whatever it is that is considered these. But for what it is that makes you your individual. How is it that your uniqueness makes you that individual? Is it something that is learned? Is it something that, amongst whatever it may be, how could you show something if it was not within what fundamental was there to prove for what is fundamental? If that makes any sense. The strength of whatever it is that needs to be fundamental. What do you need to learn for what aspiration you wish to achieve? What is the fundamental? For you cannot achieve it if you do not know for what building block you need to achieve it. This is easy to acquire. Wisdom is the only way for this for you to acquire. You can know all it is that you wish, but without knowing how you are able to practically apply this, how is it that you have the fundamentals for what it is you wish to apply? Whatever it is, that is this. So you wish to do for what is your aspiration. Find out for what it is that is that foundation. It's fairly easy to understand. With constant practice, repetition amongst for what it is. No matter personal relationship or for what it is. Must know for what is required to produce for what is required. Now, what amongst is it that maybe you wish to be strong in, as far as whatever it is that is your desire to be strong in? This work. Examine, then understand for what needs to be worked. Must, with practical application, with repetition. But first, it must be examined, must identify for what it is that first must be examined. To know for what building block the fundamental is required. Like, I'll give you an example. Okay, say you wish to be a musician. Okay, well, what type of musician? Okay, when you are showing for what it is that is your individuality, how is it that you wish to be different while you are showing your individuality? Can you identify? Or amongst whatever field? Doesn't matter. Like, oh man, I like how this person did it. Or I like this standard, but I want to make my own version of that. Within what is standard, that is considered that. If you get what I mean. Now you have the basic fundamentals for what it actually is, for how different you are, enough to where No one else will be like you. Within what it is that you wish to do. What needs to be examined for that to be true? The strength of that is shown if you show individuality when it is that you do for whatever it is that is that. Because ones that are showing such things as that, but still showing for what it is, how much more likely do they get business compared to someone that's just like another? Wish to pursue your dream? Must know for what. Within what that is the fundamental for what result you wish for it to be, and for what it is. It's not always easy to understand such things. For many times, the strength of these such things, ones don't examine the fact. The strength of that. For what it is that it is, the fundamental of that is for what it is. If it is you do not pay attention these such details, how is it you can add for what it is that you wish? That makes it to where that you are different. That another will pick you over the other for amongst that that happens to be for what it is you show. Catches their interest in your direction they happen to go. Do you get what I mean? Amongst businesses. It's what sets them apart. and the fact that they follow for what is the fundamentals of what it is. That shows for what it is within the fundamentals. Within your business, your aspiration that you wish to have it to where you are picked. Somebody has to be within. And notice the difference for what it is against another they happen to see. If it is that you do your work the same as everyone else, and another one comes along and they do something else, but still within that fundamental, just advanced for what is that fundamental. Who amongst that happens to be picked? But it's the fundamentals you must know first. The strength of that can only be done first. Whatever it is that is decided as that fundamental by who is and is able to withhold for what it is that fundamental. The strength of that determines if you get business or that's something that you don't get. That individuality part amongst what it is that is within your aspiration that is met within both of those. That is the contributing factor for whatever it is that is your dream. That is the crit factor. I once had someone put it in a specific way. But I'm pretty sure you already understand for what it is I say. But in case you do not know, me being a musician and all that, whenever such ones happen to listen or was doing for what we did as far as that, that for what was listened to and added to. Almost in a way that it was not added to at all. As if it was that way to be, without any need to add at all. That is having fundamentals. When it just comes together. But here's the thing about that. Within your dreams and aspiration, is there anything like that? Because two parts are required. The fundamentals and your individuality. These are the two things that are required. But first, amongst your craft, the fundamentals must first be shown. As it is. So, with repetition, the strength of these two can only be practiced by showing that repetition. You wish to do something new and unique, catch somebody's attention for what it is that is unique, the fundamentals for what of these both things. Maybe are you not showing to be the best amongst these things? And I'm going to take an intermission. You'll have to give me a minute before I can take that intermission. What's up? I'm back, all that good stuff. I had to move all this stuff a little bit. And it always does that every time. Anyway, the strength of these is what determines upon what it is that is the result that you see. For what it is you see is the compound interest of these things. As far as the result, if it is you do not fix for what is the fundamental, how can you change for what it is you receive from the fundamental? As the result by the practical application, by what it is that is, for what it is you have practiced. If it is you are doing it wrong, what kind of result do you get when you do it wrong? Could not be considered what it is that is the fundamental. For the result you wish to achieve, could it? For what it is that you wish to achieve, what you happen to see is the compound interest of what it is that is currently of those things. If it is, the result you see is not what it is you're expecting to get. What amongst the fundamentals needs to be changed? 2. For the result you wish to get, for that to be seen. Not liking for what result you get from what it is you're doing. Maybe you need to change for what the fundamental is that you are doing. The strength of these are shown by the result. Only with the proper balance between these things, as far as what is considered the standard amongst these things, is there able for this result that you're expecting to get. It's fairly simple. Not liking your result, examine for what the reason. What would be the fundamental and the root of that reason? And whatever it may be that has to be addressed. Cannot expect get a result, if it is you do not do the fundamentals in order to get that result, it's pretty simple. What is it? Could it be that within that, maybe you can figure out for what it is? That's for what you wish to achieve. The mountain that stands before you. Problem solving must be done for what it is that is the mountain that stands before you. If it is, you do not know for what the fundamentals that make it for what it is. And to get the result, how can you produce for what it is? You must know for what it is you wish to have. And you must know the fundamentals to achieve for what you wish to have. That mountain that stands before you. What is the fundamentals that allow it to stand before you? If it is, you know upon that, within what it is that is the problem, can you find the solution to that? Or is it that you cannot? If you know the fundamentals to what it is that within that situation is possible. Is it something that you can achieve things that are impossible? You must know for what the problem is. You must know for what the possible solution. But there is always fundamentals to for how you find the solution. Whatever it may be. Within your situation. The strength of this problem solving amongst what is contributing factors. Knowing for this gives you for what you need to achieve. To have the turning of the tables when it is required to be seen. To have for what it is that must be. For what it is that you see is the compound interest of what fundamentals you now see. The result of actions that have been compiled. Sounds like the building blocks. kind of sounds like for what it is that is within the foundation. So, within your actions, the cup you get, that is the compound interest. The strength of what is the fundamentals that are the contributing factors. If you have a problem that is a mountain, can you figure out for what it is that solution and find the fundamentals to solve for what it is you wish to see amongst what mountain you see? Do you get what I mean? If it is you have a problem, you are playing Jenga. Are you not? Now, if it is that you can figure out for what about that issue that makes it the mountain from the root, what happens? If it is by finding this out, can that mountain stand before you, or must it be moved about? Because it cannot stand there if the fundamental reasons of why it stands there are not there. Oh, having an issue with such things? Whatever it may be. No matter for what it is. If you find out for what causes the compound interest for what it is, then what happens? No longer can it stand there. What else must happen? So, the strength of what it is, that is, the result of what it is you see amongst the fundamentals. Are they within what it is that should be the fundamentals? Or is it that they are not for the result you wish to have in this spot? Whatever issue you're having, to find out the root reason why it's happening helps you to where it is not happening. Right? Say you have a bad relationship with someone. What amongst the fundamentals, things that must be and are required, amongst for what has happened or has affected, for the contributing factors, for how they perceive? Have you gotten to know them? Do you argue a lot? If it is, you understand. Become a like mind. Can a bad relationship with them stand? For example, cookies. Cookies cannot be for what they are if it is they do not have the ingredients that make it for what it is and the cookies that they are. Fairly easy to understand. Doesn't always mean that for you, depending on what it is that is able to be considered what would be a contributing factor, is something that within whoever it may be that you wish to be a friend is for what it is that is their contributing factors. Or for what it is that is the foundation for who it is. In short, if you're a friend with someone and then all of a sudden you start having some issues, there's a root of that reason. Do you know for what it is that reason? If it is not within the fundamentals that are decided by them, then can you still be their friend? Can you? Yes, if it is, you make compromises. But what if it is the fundamental, the building block for what it is that you will and cannot do without? There are points when it is you must know for when it is you are to find one that is more like-minded to you. For the foundation is not the same. But if it is that you are, then that is different. If you find out for what it is that needs to be changed, if it is something that is not part of the fundamentals that cannot change. In short, there are people that no matter what you do, you will not get along with. Even if you wanted to. The fundamentals that made them a person. Conflict for what it is that are yours. But that doesn't mean cannot be civil. For if you have the fundamentals, no matter if you like one or not, you can be civil. within your relationships that you happen to get in. The ones that you happen to maybe run into in one way or another. Because of what is their fundamentals, of what makes it to who it is that they are, will determine for if it is that a friend that you are, or possibly more. But how could you understand for what it is that fundamental if you are not that individual? These are things that can only be learned from getting to know the individual. Other than that, the fundamental of a relationship falls apart if it is you do not know that. That is, at least, within what it is that makes relationship. Kinda sounds technical, doesn't it? But, amongst, for what it is, there are chances still. For if you start to understand, start to know, for at that point, if you do not have for what is their fundamentals, how can you understand? These are things that have to be for a relationship, no matter for either a friend or no matter for what it is that you wish to be. You must be able to almost know for what it is they will do before it is that they will. To truthfully be within the same alike mind is what I mean when I say the same. Now, are these things that you can examine? Have a new friend? Have you taken time to examine? You must pay attention to, you know, certain things happen. You can see it. Can you not? Say something and all of a sudden somebody gets uncomfortable in that spot. Somewhere in there you have broke a fundamental. You must examine to find out for what it is that fundamental. Because otherwise, what happens to the relationship? Awkward is that kind of a relationship. Wish to get along with someone. Find out for who it is they are. So you may know that someone. If you don't, are you just more or less than an acquaintance? Is there any foundation for anything beyond for what it is that is an acquaintance? The fundamentals must be there for amongst that relationship for what has been considered standards for what is that relationship. Well, that looks like all the time I have for now. So until next time.